And so it is to the printing press, to the recorder of man's deeds, the keeper of his conscience, the courier of his news, that we look for strength and assistance, confident that with your help, man will be what he was born to be, free and independent.
Welcome to Odd Reality Radio, the show designed to generate thought through entertainment. Join us as we explore the strange and unexplained, the unanswered, and the unbelievable on Odd Reality Radio.
An error doesn't become a mistake until you refuse to correct it.
Welcome to Odd Reality Radio. I'm Ty West, and today we sit down with author and UFO researcher Ryan Sprague to discuss what's new in the world of ufology. Stay tuned. You're listening to Odd Reality Radio. Today we are joined by journalist, author, and UFO researcher Ryan Sprague. Once again, thank you, Ryan, for being here.
My absolute pleasure, Ty. So happy to be here, man.
Well, first of all, how are you doing, my friend? It's been a minute since we spoke.
It has been a hot minute, hasn't it?
Absolutely.
I'm doing great, man. I'm sort of recovering from a really harsh East Coast winter here.
It sounds like it.
It's been just relentless, I'm telling you. But it looks like we're on our way up. Sun is out today, and yeah, things are good. Things are busy.
Well, good. It's since we've last talked, I remember you were swamped with a handful of projects at the time. Is life any less busy for you, and specifically, how's that book coming along?
Life is definitely not slowed down, but I love it that way. I think we all did, in our respective fields or specialties. But the book is going awesome, man. I am just knee deep in material right now, writing every single day, and it's just really taken off since we last spoke. The community, the UFO community, is just, they've been amazing and just so supportive and putting me in touch with witnesses and experiencers. And I recently had time to catch up with Rich Dolan, the publisher of the book, and he read some of the manuscript, and he was so stoked. He was so happy. And that's all I could ask for. That's like getting, praise from that professor that you've always tried to impress,
Oh, yeah.
And it's funny because every time I think I'm finished with the manuscript, something else comes to the surface, and I want to keep writing about it. Keeps growing and growing, and right now it's just about narrowing in on the individuals. That was the purpose of the book to begin with, was to put a microscope on the individual experiencers of the UFO phenomenon, of the abduction phenomenon, high strangeness. So I'm telling you, man, I mean, over like 80 people I've interviewed, trying to narrow it down is really, really hard. What stories do I want to tell? Who do I think is credible? Who do I think is just please forgive the politically incorrect term, but a little nuts,
Yeah, absolutely. And how do you filter that? I can only imagine, because there's got to be, your heart probably goes out to every single person that has claimed that they've experienced something, because, you and I have also had experiences ourselves to a degree. And it's extremely hard for me to imagine filtering something out, because this entire phenomena is interesting enough for me to be able to put on a page, or at least to read. So
yeah, great point. It's not easy. I mean, of course, you have to have compassion with each and every one of these people. That is essential. That is the journalist's job. And I want to tell the most accurate stories that I think will show the mass public that there is a core phenomenon, and that everyday people are experiencing it. Again, that's not to take away from the 70 or so people that will not be in the book, but it's just these certain people that I've connected to, some of them face to face, some of them over phone and email correspondence. These are the stories that I think can really get out there and show people that something is going on that we cannot readily explain. So yeah, it's been frustrating. Yeah, this phenomenon is probably the most frustrating thing we could ever have gotten ourselves involved in. Every time we think we have an answer, something else comes, to the forefront, and we just deal with that and we keep going. And that's what keeps me going. And that's what keeps me want to keep writing. I'll probably have 10 books by the time I'm done with this whole UFO thing, but I love it, man. I absolutely love it. And I think it is essential to humanity. And we need people out there, new people writing fresh material about it. And that's really all I'm trying to do.
Absolutely. And I look forward to it. And I'll read every one of those 10 books, if not 20. I hope to have you write. But the title of this book, is it still what it was when we last spoke? Is it...
Yeah, I haven't changed that yet. Again, I brought that up to my publisher, and he absolutely loved it. So, yeah, I think I'm going to go with that. It's called When Logic Fails, A Human Approach to an Alien Phenomenon.
It's an excellent title. I love it. And I was hoping that it didn't change. And if it did, it probably just, it would have only been better. That's just your style.
Thanks, man.
Now, you mentioned on the various outlets for social media that you recently attended the International UFO Congress in Phoenix. How was that?
Unbelievable. I've been going to the Congress for about 3 years now, ever since I started writing for Open Minds magazine, who actually, their Open Minds production, they own this conference, basically. They put it on every year. Like you said, it's international, and we have people from all over the world. We had people from Israel and Egypt and Australia, and just incredible. This year has by far been the absolute best. We had such a vast array of speakers this year. And seeing some of the experiencers that I've interviewed for my book was just, they were there, and it was just such a rare treat and just such an amazing opportunity to hear their stories face to face.
Absolutely. I can only imagine.
Yeah, and we had news outlets, Ty, from all over the place there, taking the topic seriously. I mean, CNN, ABC, NBC, Fox, Science Channel, BuzzFeed. It was awesome, man.
Well, speaking of news outlets, I actually saw a video clip from the local Phoenix news station that highlighted the International UFO Congress, and they did a very respectful job. And it included an interview with you and another young man involved in the field. Mm-hmm. Why don't you tell us a little bit about this interview and the gentleman that you were interviewed with?
Oh, yeah, sure, man. The Fox interview is kind of a funny story. I'd been working 3 days straight so far at the Congress, and we work like 15-hour days there, just running around like crazy. I mean, you've worked at cons, you know what it's like.
It is a high energy, high stress situation, but it's exactly what I love and crave. I mean, I come home and it takes me almost twice as long to wind down, but it's the rush that I crave. So I'm right there with you.
Yep. Well, yeah, my buddy Casey, he showed up from San Diego, and we sort of, take turns helping one another out backstage at this event. And I was in my room taking a nap, and I got a phone call from Maureen Ellsbury, who's basically, between her, Alejandro Rojas, and Jason McClellan, the three of these guys run this entire conference. And we're talking like a week-long event with 5,000-6,000 people. And this thing is run by them and by volunteers. Maureen, she calls me. She wakes me up from my nap in a panic, and she says, "Fox needs you down at their station in 30 minutes. None of us can leave. I need you down there." So I sprung out of bed. I ran downstairs, and Jeremy Corbell, who is a documentary filmmaker, he was speaking this year at the Congress, and he went with me to Fox. And all along the way, we're rehearsing in the car what we're going to say. What to assure that we wouldn't be made fun of with the topic. Fox is known to, not really take these topics seriously. And
right.
Jeremy was open to talk about his films, and I was there to promote the conference. But you know what? When we arrived, man, we were told it was going to be a 30-minute segment, and we were just like, everything we had rehearsed just went out the door. And John Hook, the Fox anchor, as you saw in the interview, he has some really, really good questions, very sincere. And you could tell this guy was generally interested in the topic and what we thought about it. So it was really exciting, extremely liberating. And he even kept us there for like an hour after the actual broadcast just to keep talking about it.
That's great.
That meant more to me than, the interview ever could. But it was great. We got the word out there. It's these two young guys talking about it. We don't got these old guys with white hair and tinfoil hats. And of course, we don't ever want to judge this topic on an image, but let's be honest, that's kind of what it is. And just to show that serious younger people are passionate about it. So I hope that is what we conveyed, and that's all we could ask for with Fox. And absolutely. I'm so happy about it.
Well, the interview went really well, in my opinion. I'll include a link in the show notes so that all the listeners can take a look at it. And I highly suggest that they do. Like you said, the host did a very respectable job. His questions were legitimately interesting questions.
Yeah.
And you guys covered it very well. Now, you mentioned that Jeremy is a filmmaker, and he's actually releasing a film about a legend in the field, Mr. Bob Lazar. Can you tell us anything about the film and possibly what's going on with Mr. Lazar these days?
Yeah, definitely. Jeremy's films, he's got about 5 or 6 out right now, and all of them follow what he refers to as cosmic whistleblowers. These include government officials and military witnesses and people in power, who are coming forward about their personal experiences and their knowledge of UFOs. And yeah, he has a short film that covers the history of Bob Lazar, and he even interviewed him in 2014. And I just watched the film a few days ago, and it gave me chills. Some of the stuff in it he covered in the Q&A at the conference, but watching Bob Lazar 25 years ago and then in Jeremy's film, seeing him today, never swaying from his original story, it is truly something to behold. And, sort of what we learn about Lazar 25 years later is that like I said, he's never swayed from his story. He sticks to it. And, he lives a pretty quiet, humble life now with his family in Michigan, of all places. And he owns a scientific equipment and supply company called United Nuclear. Really, really good. Really good to see him still working.
Absolutely.
He hasn't been, quote unquote, silenced by the silencers. But yeah, man, definitely I would check out Jeremy's short film. You can find that at alienpropulsion.com and check out his other films there. I love what Jeremy's doing, man. He's just a young, passionate filmmaker interviewing all these government, officials who are willing to go on the record and talk about this topic, which is very rare. So,
absolutely. Yeah. One of these days, I hope to have him on the show as well.
Oh, definitely. He would love that.
Well, were there any other films released at this year's Congress that stood out to you or that we should be excited about within the community?
Yeah, definitely. I don't think I mentioned, I also, for the past 3 years at the Congress, I've helped co-run the film festival. So yeah, I get to see all these amazing films that people bring forward. Some are documentaries, some are sort of in that creative nonfiction realm, like a docudrama almost about UFOs.
Right.
This year's films, Ty, were the highest quality I'd ever experienced. We're talking like big budget, Hollywood-esque things. We had one called Travis, which was produced by Jennifer Stein and our mutual friend, Peter Robbins, which told the story of Travis Walton, which we all know.
Incredible.
Awesome. It was so good, Ty. I mean, just to hear everyone's opinions and to watch Travis and some of the other witnesses to his event go back into the forest where it happened and see the looks on their faces and hear it from Travis. Throughout the years, we know that his story didn't get the best representation in Fire in the Sky, the Hollywood movie. So that was great. We had a short film about the Maury Island incident, which was one of the first cases involving supposed men in black, the inception of these silencers of UFO events.
Right.
Great short film. We had Mirage Men, which is a very controversial film, which covers disinformation, creating mythology around the UFO community. So, that was a tough one to swallow. We have a lot of true believers at these events, and they don't want to hear that perhaps the UFO community is being misinformed about the topic, but these things happen, and they've been happening for a long time. So I think the filmmaker's intent was just to keep one eye open, and always be aware that people are out there to disinform, to put the truth in between two lies. And that's exactly what disinformation is. So that was a good revelation film for sure. Oh, and Jeremy had a film called Patient 17, which was a documentary that followed Roger Lear in his last surgery to remove a supposed alien implant.
Really?
Yeah, really, really good film. And
that sounds interesting.
Yeah, and I mean, unfortunately, we know that Roger Lear died this past year, and he died during the filming of this movie. So that brought on a whole new level to the humanness and the sincerity of this man, and who dedicated almost his entire life to the abduction phenomenon and the implant mystery and trying to find answers for these people who are experiencing it. So, yeah, very powerful films this year. I could talk about them forever.
Well, that's good. Maybe we'll have to have another show that's all about UFOs in film and how that's coming along.
Oh, yeah, you want to reach out to Robbie Graham on that one. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but...
Well, good. Maybe we should do a roundtable.
I'm all for it.
One. Awesome. Well... one thing that I did notice, and I've heard you mention in this interview as well, is the increased legitimate interest in UFOs amongst the younger demographic. Why do you think that is? And is that a good or a bad thing for ufology, in your opinion?
Always good. Always good. This UFO conference saw a huge influx of younger people. I can't even describe the amount of younger people I saw. It felt like a Comic-Con. No costumes, nothing like that, but just young, vibrant, energetic. And, this may have been because Lazar was there. Also, Richard Dolan was there. He's got a huge following because of his new book, UFOs for the 21st Century Mind. It's really good for the younger people. But yeah, I don't see how it can possibly be a bad thing for ufology to have a younger demographic involved. I mean, the way I look at it, we need to take what we've learned from the old guard, as it were, and build upon that, new approaches, new ideas. But we also have to be very careful where we get our information.
Absolutely.
Research the sources of your material. Don't believe everything you read. And most important, ask questions. Don't take everything for face value. Ask questions.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you. I think that, building on what has already been built for us is the best thing to do. We can't disregard any of what has already been written, regardless of, what other people have written about it. In the same way that I see, the Wright brothers didn't start with the space shuttle. They had to start with something more simple. But, we build on someone else's previous work and hopefully come up with something completely and entirely new on the other side. There's also been an increase in the amount of women interested in the field as well. Why do you think that is?
Oh, I'm so happy you brought this up, man. I think the women involved in this field, they have always been there. But, just like everything else in a patriarchal society, they're often underappreciated, and they sort of get lost amongst the noise. And there are so many amazing women doing integral work in the field. I mean, you look at some of the people that spoke this year at the Congress. We had Cheryl Costa and Linda Zimmerman, who both are doing amazing work researching UFO sightings in New York State, my home state. And we've got people like Linda Moulton Howe and Maureen Ellsbury and Leslie Keene, Lincoln Tide, Chase Kletsky. I could keep going. It's not the boys club that we all make it out to be, and it never truly was. Again, I think the new generation of interested people in showing a dramatic increase with women, and there's even conferences focusing primarily on women. I would highly suggest checking out, there's a website called womenunitedinufology.com, just to see the vast amount of researchers out there. But we can't stop there. We have to invite women speakers on your show and on everyone else's shows, and seek out their books and their lectures, and show that there are those men out there who are willing to shed, sort of that misogynistic viewpoint that this is a boys' club and that we are the ones who need to be taken seriously. Because between you and me, man, some of the best work out there is being done by women. And I can't stress that enough.
I completely agree. And I think that the thing that we need to include is their perspective is just as important as a male's perspective. It's the other half. It's the mind that we don't have access to. I mean, we can sit around and talk about things in, like you said, the boys club, but that'll only get you so far before you actually open your mind to what the world has to offer, and women are a part of that world. So I completely agree.
Right. I mean, yeah, and we could sit here and discuss gender politics till the sun comes up, Ty, but I don't think you and I really need to do that, because it's obvious that we recognize this, and it's not about men and women when it comes down to it. It's about the issue at hand, and that is the phenomenon, and what it is, and where it's heading, and what it could tell us about gender, or what it could tell us about us as humans, most importantly.
Absolutely. I think that, a good way to sum it up is it's not necessarily about the gender of the experiencer, it's about the experience, and it's not about the researcher so much, it's about the research.
Yes, thank you.
Absolutely. Well, where do you see ufology going in the next 10 years then?
Great question. We need serious scientific study of these phenomena. I think you can agree. I mean, at the same time, we have to accept that this isn't just nuts and bolts anymore. Not even close. We have to invite new thoughts, new ideas, accept that other paranormal or esoteric topics may be connected. I mean, I've said this before, man. If a ghostly Bigfoot-like creature walked off a UFO holding hands with an alien, I'd be like, okay, this is happening. I'm in. But yeah, man, I think we have to stop, sort of compartmentalizing everything, share our information. And then I think that's when this topic will have a future. We have learned a lot. I'm sick of hearing, quote unquote, ufologists say that we've learned nothing in the past 50 years. We've learned a hell of a lot. And that has come from civilian researchers. We are seeing an influx of serious study, whether it's individual scientists or astrobiologists or nuclear physicists. They're out there. It's a matter of getting the topic to a place where they are willing to come forward and try to get this stuff peer reviewed. I think that's what is most important. We need a serious scientific study of the UFO phenomenon. And then I think that's when we can really affect government policy and give this topic a future. It's like you said earlier, it's about the topic. It's not about the field of ufology.
Absolutely. And it's an interesting one that does continue to fuel itself as far as the interest within the people. I mean, there's things that are evolving and changing within the experiences and the experiencers that just continue to feed this phenomenon and the interest within it. I think that we're definitely going to see more of legitimate interest in research and more funding in research of this field, and if not this field alone, the space industry and the private space industry. I think that's something that's going to benefit ufology as well.
Very good point. I can see it now, man. Like, what we got an unmanned mission going to Europa. We just landed what was it, a satellite around Ceres. I mean, the space program is getting so close to the UFO phenomenon, and they are going to converge. It's got to happen. It's inevitable. Yeah. We are going to find life again, whether that's in 10 years, 50, 100. It's going to happen. We all know it's going to happen. It's about how we get there, and we just got to keep it going.
Well, and I think that some people are expecting a specific version of this life that you speak of. It's not right. It's not like, this entity that we've seen Pixar generate 100 different ways and 100 different times. It could be something as small as, a microbial version of life that we couldn't communicate with necessarily, but it's proof and evidence of something that is sustaining life elsewhere. So,
yep. Yes, very good point.
Well, I went over an archived article of yours entitled Shepherding in the Black Budget Sheep, in which you covered various secret bases around the world, including the one right here in Utah, Dugway Proving Grounds. Now, although this article was released in January of last year, the relevance of the content only seems to grow and grow. Why do you think that is?
Oh, yeah, that is I love that article. Thank you so much for bringing that one up, man. I think that as we accept more and more that the military industrial complex is constantly creating new technology and weapons to keep money moving and keep the rich, we always have a worry that, inevitably World War III might be around the corner. And we're living in fear of threats from a growing movement right now. You look at things like ISIS and terrorists, and we don't know who to trust anymore. And as more and more whistleblowers, like Lazar or Snowden, as the activity is showing us that things are being hidden from us at an alarming and unconstitutional rate. I mean, for our own safety, mind you, that's what they're telling us it's for.
Right.
I think civilians will continue to learn all they can about these military installations, whether it has anything to do with UFOs or not. Our curiosity is a great weapon. And more, the people who are acknowledging these bases, the better chance we have of finding what's going on. I mean, well, I still believe that our governments truly want the best for its citizens. I will be one of the first to say that. That doesn't change the fact that we will spend millions of dollars ensuring that America remains in control, and they won't mind sprinkling false flags every now and again at the expense of their own citizens and, other countries. So I think agree. The relevance of these military installations is very, very of the time now. Even if I wrote this article a year ago, that does not change the fact that these things are still going on.
Absolutely. In fact, I also wanted to point out, this is one of my favorite articles of yours, and articles of anything in the field, and it doesn't hurt that it's got some Utah ties, but the content within is phenomenal. I learned things within the article. Specifically, you mentioned other bases like Tonopah Test Range in Nevada, which isn't that actually fairly close to Area 51?
Yeah, I mean, it's like 70 miles away from it, which is not a lot when you look at how vast these deserts are. From what we know, it's mostly used for nuclear weapon stockpile reliability testing is what they say it's used for.
Well, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, it's been rumored that the discs that Lazar witnessed at S4 may have moved to Tonopah after Lazar went public. So right there, man, there is one of your Area 52s.
Absolutely. Well, you also mentioned the base commonly known as Porton Down in the UK, But one of the most intriguing ones within this article is the underwater base known as AUTEC, or the Atlantic Undersea Test and Evaluation Center. Can you tell us a little bit about this base and what they do there? It's the first time I've heard about it. So,
me too. I found that one extremely compelling. AUTEC is a base. It's off of the Andros Island in the Bahamas, and apparently they can track up to 63 underwater targets simultaneously while it's land-based radar systems.
Incredible.
They can spot anything flying within 500 nautical miles of the facility. That just blows my mind right there. And we're talking like 70,000 feet up. There was one really dramatic UFO sighting there in 1985, and that's why I brought up AUTEC in the article. Hundreds of people, I believe it was New Providence Island. They witnessed this huge, massive craft leading a massive amount of smaller objects through the sky, just ominously floating. And to this day, there's still been no explanation has been given about this incident from the Navy or the Air Force. Nothing.
Incredible.
Yeah. There have also been a lot of reports of USOs in the area. Obviously, this is an underwater base, so they are hiding something, man. They are definitely hiding something. What that is, I don't know.
The witnesses of this 1985 incident, is that mostly military, I would assume?
A lot of military, but again, like out on these islands, look at places like Hawaii and stuff, civilians see stuff all the time. There's so much military activity going on. Again, we don't know. We have to stop connecting the UFO term to alien, and this could all be top secret military stuff.
Right.
And I think that is one of the biggest parts to the UFO phenomenon, for sure. Not all of it, definitely not all of it. But I definitely would suggest people look more into AUTEC and see what's going on over there, man.
Well, the thing with AUTEC is that it's probably one of many bases like this, I would imagine. Oh, yeah. And I don't, I can only think that if they have that kind of range at this one base, they've probably got like access like this multiple places around the world. Exactly.
And like you said, Ty, these are the bases we know of in the public. That I'm sure for every one that we know of, there's 10 more. The ratio is probably astounding. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I recently interviewed a gentleman by the name of Nathan Kowlishaw, who attended the International UFO Congress as well as a photographer. And Nathan is actually organizing a UFO convention here in Utah called the Utah UFO Fest that will be held on the 19th of August through the 23rd in Cedar City, Utah. And they released the early list of guest speakers committed to coming to the Utah UFO Fest just just this last week. And it looks like we'll have a handful of speakers that attended the International UFO Congress. But there's also another handful of unique guests to look forward to as well, like Alien Dave, or Dave Rosenfeld, who was actually interviewed for the previously mentioned article Shepherding in the Black Budget Sheep. And a couple of the other names I was going to read just so that you can tell me and any of the listeners that who we need to specifically zone in on. We've got the previously infamous Travis Walton. He's coming.
Okay. Awesome.
Stanton Friedman.
Okay.
Kathleen Martin, and the Navajo Rangers. That's one that I don't know if were they at the International UFO Congress?
Yes. We had the Navajo Rangers. Who was that? John Dover, right. I believe. Yeah, and the other gentleman, Stanley Milford. There we go.
That's right.
We had them in 2013. Oh, man. They have got some incredible stories to tell. Bigfoot, Skinwalker, everything. These guys are incredible. And again, these are local law enforcement agents coming forward and admitting we investigate paranormal cases all the time.
Absolutely. Another one that I think he was actually at the 2015 Congress was Clifford Mahooty.
Clifford Mahooty, yes. Oh, man.
He's confirmed, so...
Great. He's amazing, man. He's from the Zuni Pueblo tribe. And he talks a lot about, the ancient star people and their connection to modern interpretations of UFOs. Oh, I'm so excited you guys got him. I had lunch with that guy, and he just blew my mind.
That's great. Yeah. I'm a little envious of that. And the film festival, I'd love to come. Hopefully next year we'll see if we can't make it down in Odd Reality, come down and do a couple of interviews and stuff.
Oh, yeah, totally, man. We would love to have you there.
A couple of other names that you might recognize, Chris O'Brien from the cattle mutilation phenomena.
Ah, yes. Good old Chris O'Brien. I love him, man. Yeah, I saw his lecture right after lunch about cattle mutilation, so that wasn't the best idea, but what can you do?
Well, he actually worked with Dave Rosenfeld a bit, I've heard, so
okay,
that's another thing I want to pick his brain about when he's here. Also, we have the previously aforementioned Alejandro Rojas, who is with Open Minds as well, right?
Yes, he is. Yep. Alejandro has a great radio show with Open Minds. He is, he runs a lot of things over at Open Minds, and he's the MC at our big conference there. But he has so much of his own individual research and work that he gets out there. So that's great. I'm so happy to hear that he's going to be there.
I'm looking forward to speaking with him as well. Did you have an opportunity to hear from Jim Mann and Stacy Wright from the Arizona MUFON?
I believe I did. I ran into them at some point. But yeah, it's so great to hear that they're going to be there. I love MUFON. MUFON's gone through so many controversial changes throughout the years.
Right.
They've gotten a lot of flack for certain things. But again, Ty, this is a civilian-run organization that's spread across the entire globe, and they have done amazing work, and I cannot stress that enough. I'm jealous. I'm envious. I wish I was part of MUFON. I don't have the time or the wherewithal to think that I know enough to go out and get my boots on the ground and really dig and look for that trace evidence. I'm sitting here on my butt doing computer research, and that's what I do. I'm a journalist.
We need it. We absolutely do. You do a wonderful job, and it's information that you generate that actually helps the boots on the ground do a better job in the field. So absolutely imperative to what others are doing.
Good point, man. We're all in this together.
Absolutely. We've also got Erica Lukes from the Utah MUFON, which has actually just resurfaced recently. For the longest time, I believe it was 3 or 4 years, we didn't have any MUFON here in Utah, or the MUFON that we did. I actually reached out and never really heard back from anybody. It was kind of a chaotic thing, so it's nice to know that we've got somebody with more legitimate interest and a good head on their shoulders within Utah's MUFON.
Yes, that's fantastic, man. I believe she's the state director, isn't she?
Yes.
That's amazing. Yeah, I did. I met Erica this year. Amazing work. And again, a shining example of a woman coming to the forefront and let's be honest, man, kick the dudes aside. She's doing work with radar and whatnot, and I was highly, highly impressed. And I'm so happy to hear that Utah's kicking again. We need it. We need it, man. You guys have so much activity out there, and it needs to be recorded and investigated.
Absolutely. We've also got a gentleman who works in southern Utah by the name of Jim Allen, and the infamous Daryl Sims, the alien hunter.
Mr. Alien Hunter, yes.
As well as Yvonne Smith, who I look forward to speaking with as well if I get the opportunity.
Yvonne is wonderful. I met her again this year, and I'll be interviewing her for my book. So got some really interesting stuff that she's bringing forward. So, yeah, stay tuned for that.
Excellent. Now, the last name on this list, the reason I saved it for the last is because it's one of the ones that I am looking forward to speaking to most, and that is Richard Dolan. He's actually going to be here. So,
wow, never heard of him.
No, he's just this up and comer in the field.
Okay. Oh, that's great, man. You're gonna have such a ball. He's just such a down to earth guy, and again, just the work that this man has done is incredible. And I could say it a million times. I'm honored to be working with him. But it's just. amazing. The amount of dedication he has given to this field and using his knowledge as a historian to bring a fresh new approach to the UFO phenomenon. So I really hope you enjoy that.
Oh, I don't think that there will be any way that I won't. I mean, with the list of speakers like that, and they're actually going to be doing an old school, like 50s style sci-fi film festival.
Awesome.
So yeah, we're going to be going old school at the old theater down there, as well as apparently the first day of the show or the event is going to be down at the Little Ailey Inn. They're taking a trip down to do a skywatch in the area. So
perfect. That sounds incredible. What an amazing list of speakers, man.
I know, for being the first year of Utah UFO Fest, I think they're really making a decent statement.
I would say so. I mean, that's always a catch-22. We had Lazar this year, and everyone came up to us after and said, how are you going to top this next year? Yes. I look forward to see how Utah UFO Fest tops this one.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I look forward to it, and I see the potential of topping it in both cases. I think that, like we've mentioned, the interest in the field is only growing in a positive and a healthy way. I think that people are taking it more seriously because there's more experiences to be had. And I think that the experiences are coming from more serious individuals or more respected individuals. You've got people like Bob Lazar who came out and said what he said. And then you've got, your neighbor who may work as a surgeon who's seen something and shared his experience, doesn't claim one way or the other what it is, but it's awesome that people are no longer afraid or as ashamed, I should say, to share their experiences. I loved having seen a UFO, and I wish and hope that I have more than one experience again in the near future. So obviously there's going to be hopefully a continued interest, and I look forward to it for sure.
Me too, man. I mean, you make a good point. It's the ridicule factor is slowly being stripped away. And like you said, you are an experiencer. I am an experiencer. We have seen things that defy logic and all convention. And instead of keeping that to ourselves, we are embracing it and we're owning it. We're owning it. This happened. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing. No. And I think that's becoming more and more prevalent in the mass, the collective consciousness, and people are becoming more and more accepting. So I'm so happy you said that. The optimism, people like you, is exactly what we need. And it just makes me so happy and invigorated to be in this with you.
Awesome. Well, and I think that some of the negativity and the perspective from people who haven't experienced it is exactly that. It's just there's maybe a jealousy that fuels a rage almost, and this disbelief because they haven't had an experience themselves. And for me, for the longest time, I guess I kind of had that chip on my shoulder. And when I have had my own experiences, whether it be in the ghostly fashion or something hopefully cryptozoological here in the near future, but within the UFOs, I mean, it's all really incredible once it happens to you. But again, it was one of those things that it didn't happen until I opened myself to the possibility.
Very, very good point. I think there's a lot to be said about that. Those who are more open to it, I think it does invite itself into your life. I really do. But yeah, man, just continuing to search and to look at new ideas and I think you're right. I think there is a jealousy factor amongst those who haven't had it. At the same time, I think there's fear as well. There's a lot of fear when you're, sort of your perception of life changes in an instant. And that's not to say life isn't going to go on. You're going to go to work tomorrow, but you had something incredible happen that completely alters everything you once thought. And that can make you look at life very differently, in a very positive way. Not to get all new agey or anything, but these events can completely change humanity. It can completely change the human being and what we are and what we could become. So, yeah,
absolutely.
I'm preaching to the choir, I know.
Well,
but
no. There's listeners that we need to preach to as well that maybe haven't really made that decision one way or the other, and we're not here to make that decision for them, but we're here to influence, their decision based on our experience and our opinions. And I completely agree with you. I think that it's imperative that we continue to look at this with an open mind. And I also wanted to, before I forget, I'm recently was looking at, there's a Rendlesham film that came out that Larry Warren has also been promoting it. Have you had a chance to see this? Speaking of films again, I started to get off topic, but I wanted to hit this on the head before we exited the interview.
Yes, I think you're referring to Hangar 10. Would that be it? Yes. That's the American title. It is playing also, or forgive me, it's been released in the UK under the name The Rendlesham Incident, I believe. This is a sort of a Blair Witch sort of thing, like a found footage movie. But it was shot entirely on Bentwaters Base, which is part of the Rendlesham Forest incident. And it's 25 years later after the event, these guys go back to investigate the area, and they have some crazy stuff happen. But yes, Larry Warren was involved with the research that went into that. Very good film. I had a chance to interview the lead actor in the movie, actually, for my other work that I do with playwriting and screenwriting and all that, to get his idea about it and how his beliefs changed as they were making the film, and how open he is to the possibilities of the UFO phenomenon. And he had no idea what happened at Rendlesham, back in 1980 until he got hired for this film. And it completely changed his whole perception of what the government might be hiding from us. And that's really good film. I would definitely suggest checking it out. It's gave me the creeps for sure, but
good. Then it's doing its job.
It is. It's a good popcorn movie for sure.
Well, good. Speaking of films and Rendlesham films, how is your short film coming?
Very good, my man. I actually have a meeting later today. We're moving forward with production. We're hiring our actors, and we've got all of our locations locked in. And now it's just shooting it. We are at that stage where we can actually say we're filming the movie.
Excellent.
And a lot of projects don't get that far. I'm so happy with how it's going and where it's heading, and I really hope people enjoy it. And again, it's just another way of getting word out there about Rendlesham, which I think is one of the most important cases in UFO history. And man, we're moving forward. I'm super excited.
Excellent. That's good to hear. I haven't heard a whole lot, so to hear that the meeting is happening today, that's kind of synchronistic for me.
It really is.
Forgot. It wasn't on my list of questions or anything. I needed to ask, so I'm glad I did.
Oh, I'm happy you did too. We got to keep it relevant for sure.
Good. Excellent. Well, I once again, I just want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule again to talk to us. And before we go, is there anything else that you'd like to share with our audience?
Oh, no, man. I mean, I'm just so happy to be able to brief you on the Congress, and it's always such a pleasure to talk to you. Your passion is so apparent, and it's such an honor to talk to you, man. And we're moving forward with the Rendlesham film. The book's going good. I don't want to come back on your show until I have something to show. So I'm going to get this book done, and then we can talk about that whole experience.
Excellent. Well, I look forward to that. I also agree and share the same sentiment. You are a wonderful young individual in the field that we definitely need more of. And if there's anything we can do here at Odd Reality Radio to help you along the way, let us know.
Thank you so much, Ty. Just keep doing what you're doing, man.
Excellent. And for those of you that don't know, you can get a hold of Ryan at ryandsprague.com. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's my personal website, or I have all of my
Somewhere
UFO
in the
work.
Skies, right?
Correct, yeah.
Excellent, okay. I wanted to make sure, and I'll include that in the show notes as well. I just thought I'd put it out there, and once again, Ryan, thank you for taking time out of your schedule.
Thanks so much, Ty.
Once again, I'd like to thank Ryan for another awesome interview. Every time I talk to that guy, I walk away feeling more pumped and better than I did before we spoke. You know, I look forward to hearing more about his book and his film projects as they develop. And once again, if you'd like to stay updated and see what's going on with Ryan, you can check out his webpage, somewhereintheskies.com. Or, again, check the links in the show notes for more. Or, as always, just send us an email here at info@oddrealityradio.com. We'll pass along a message. But until next time, continue to investigate life through the lens of possibility. I'm Ty West. Take care.